Hello, my name is Mary Kadlubowski. In order to save time, you can address me as Ms. K, mostly because I would rather you spent time on content that is important and useful to you rather than learning how to spell my name. I really like a collaborative experience. I would like to think of myself as more of a facilitator than a lead. So let's get into what is this CCMS thing. It's a construction management collaborative simulation. In other words, we will look at scenarios and we will address them from our classes and from areas of interest. So like all discussions, you need to be organized, relevant, focused on the topic. Not to say that you can't include more than that, but you need to be at least this. You may use AI, you may use other sources, but I am not really interested in what AI has to say about it or what other sources have to say about it. I am really interested in your understanding. Use AI or use sources to support your position, not to stand in for your position. Okay. All right, so why are we doing this? Well, there's a certain amount of skill building. Critical thinking, I want you to look carefully at everything you are asked to do. In some ways, we need to be looking for ways things can be difficult to communicate, ways that things can be easily misunderstood. These are important skills when looking at construction documents. You may think you know what they mean by drywall per standards, but it depends on the standards you're using. Different areas use different groups and different standards. So what I want you to be able to do is to really drill down and say, do I know what this means? Or am I assuming I know what this means? This is essential. When you look at a contract, you've got to look at a contract with a critical eye. How could this go wrong? How could the owner misinterpret what this contract says? How could my subs misunderstand this contract? Where could we not have enough information? This is a really critical skill. The same is true for like meeting minutes, daily job reports. You really, really have to be able to drill down and communicate effectively. And AI and other sources can't do that for you. Only you will be able to do that for you. So your initial post, 150 to 250 words. Your replies, 75 to 150 words. Focus on content. All of your posts need to be adding information or expanding the topic. Okay. Analysis, unlike your other courses, the collaboration does not require you to use outside sources. Okay, but you have to be clear on your reasoning. You can't just say, I am engaging a mentalist who will build a building using telekinesis. Not really enough support for that. So please be sure that when you state something, that if asked about it, if someone comes on and says, where'd that information come from? You can back it up. Okay. So support your arguments, justify your claims, be sure that you are adding or expanding the topic and the conversation. That means if you have multiple courses, you now have two separate threads, not really threads, but two separate interactions with the simulation based on your course. So if you're taking CM 2100 and CM 2500, that you are going to have all of the requirements for full credit for each of those posts. And the reason for this is, and it's really important that you tell me which posts go to which class, is that I grade them separately per those classes, so that when I send your grades over to your instructor in the CM 2200, I can say, you have done 60 out of 60 points for CM 2200. But for CM 2500, you've only done 55 out of 60 points. And you will get those separate grades per the course. So I need to know which courses you're posting for. I don't keep that in my head. And I can't tell necessarily from your post where you're coming from. Okay, so I really need, you can sign it off, Mary Smith, CM 2200, or you can put in the top of the discussions, CM, reply for CM 2200. Somewhere on there, I got to see the number of the course so I know where to put the grades for it. So each of those classes have unique perspectives. If you're taking an estimating class, you're going to be talking about estimating. If you're in the administrative perspective on estimating, then what you're going to say is, how am I going to record and administer those kinds of programs so that estimates are consistent and clear and legible, right? They say include the course code in your subject line for clarity. That's a really good place to put it. But if you put it, underneath, I'll find it if it's not too deeply hidden. All right, so here's how you get your points for a class. To get full credit, which is 3 points, you have 1 initial post and 3 replies, or 2 posts and 2 replies. That's for 1 class. So if you have 2 classes and you want to get full credit for both of them, you will have to have 2 initial posts and 6 replies, or 4 initial posts and 4 replies, separated with somehow the course number or name in each one. The number's more effective for me because that's shorter, and that's how I put it in my grade book, that you're in CM 2200. If you do something else, then that's going to take me longer and there's more chances of error. So for partial credit, if you have 1 post and 2 replies, or 2 posts and 1 reply, you get 2 points for that week. Again, you can see 1 point is 1 post and 1 reply, or you can just do 2 replies. And 0 points, even if you post once, you got to do at least 2 things. You got to at least move the discussion. You can't just drop information on people and walk away and call it a conversation, right? A discussion is back and forth. So you at least have to reply to somebody to get any credit. All right, so here we go, multiple courses. So I'm going to make this very clear. You meet the discussion requirements separately for each course. You create unique posts for each course class to align with specific objectives. That's the perspective in your class, but you're also looking at it from your class perspective. And you're going to include the course code, which is the CM number, in your subject line or at the end of your post. I can see either of those actually. Anything else? So multiple, here's an example. So you're responding to something and you say, I found that, or I believe, my position is this. I think we should use master format while organizing, administrating our estimates. because that will keep it clear. So if the discussion was something like things are not being tracked well, projects are going awry because information is not being communicated properly, and you're in construction estimating and your perspective is, say, administration, then you would say, this is how we would make sure that the information gets where it needs to be according to standard procedures. These procedures come from this place. I'm using the master format outline and aligning it with our current work breakdown structure. This means that the work breakdown structure has to get communicated to the estimators. This information also needs to get to the job super so they understand the numbers that they're working with. They would get to that because we would have a pre-construction meeting where we would go over what the estimate was. Hopefully we would have a pre-estimating meeting so that we can go over details with all the stakeholders so that we can estimate based on realistic conditions. And, keep in mind that your super or your sub, they know things about the crew that you don't know. They know that during this project, their best drywaller is going to be on vacation because he's getting married next week. And so their best guy is not going to be on the crew. And that's going to be something you need to know when you put in an estimate. Subs. I'm having trouble getting this kind of material. I got to tell you, the supply chain delay on this is 3 weeks instead of 2. So we need to figure for that. If we expedite it, we can keep on track, but it's going to cost us more. These kind of things are really important to know. So, here's 2 ways that you can do the posts. Replies, it is important to affirm what is positive feedback on a post, okay? But you need to expand it. So if this person was talking about data analytics, then you can say beyond data analytics, or the problem with data analytics is sometimes you don't get the data correctly, or you have to make sure that your data is coming from these kinds of sources. Okay. So there we go. I hope and look forward to a good term, and I will see you online.